What's up, everyone? Mike back again with you on another episode of One and Done with Zeke. How you
Yeah,
doing, Zeke?
doing good. How are you?
Doing good. Just trying to stay indoors, trying to stay safe and healthy.
Yeah, we're all kind of in that general census, so that's good.
Yeah, we thought it might be a good chance to put out some more episodes for you guys, given that a lot of us are just staying indoors anyways, and it's a great time to just sit back, relax, and listen to some interesting content. And for today's episode, we actually are going to talk about something that was brought up in the collector community for Dragon Ball Super, and that is the debate between grading metals and what company, whether it's PSA or Beckett or maybe some other company. Just trying to talk about the difference between the two and which one is preferred, which one do we recommend and stuff like that. So you want to take it away?
Yeah, no. So I want to say that a big consensus throughout card games and just general cards. I think metal cards have always been this unique mantra of product that people just aren't used to handling. And I think when collectors finally get in possession of them, there's always been the debate: should I go PSA? Should I go Beckett? I want to say that most collectors have chosen to go with Beckett when it comes to grading metals. And there's pros and cons to that. I know overall, excluding this year, overall Beckett is generally going to be the more aggressive, more tougher company up until 2019, or up to 2019. Beckett has always been the more tougher company to get a high grade on, and PSA has usually been a little bit more lenient. So there's pros and cons to both. Generally speaking, we can cross into what we've seen, and I believe just in Dragon Ball, I believe almost all of them have been Beckett graded with a small amount PSA, and and I've always wondered like why players pick one and the other, and I've done a lot of digging and people's opinions, and I think it just comes down to generally Beckett high graded Beckett cards are worth more than than a PSA 10. That I and generally, we could use Charizard as kind of an example of where Charizard's always preferred PSA. But for whatever reason, we all can agree on that if there was ever to be a Beckett 10 Charizard, it would probably be considered much more valuable than the PSA 10. And
You
I
could
think
even say that about the Awakened Power too. That's
right,
another one that
right,
the Beckett
right.
10 carries the premium that PSA 10 doesn't.
Right, and I think when it comes to metal cards, I think collectors want to make sure their product is as valuable as possible, or their collections as valuable as possible, because most of the time collecting and investing goes hand in hand in terms of what they do, and I want to say that with Beckett, it's a lot more. People just want the highest value possible, and on top of that, metal cards have such a very weak chance of being damaged that you're almost kind of guaranteed a high grade out the door, which is not the case. I've learned with some of my friends grading some of the metal cards, but generally speaking, if you get a metal card from literally from getting it straight to Beckett, or getting it from the player to the collector then to Beckett, the card hasn't seen a lot of outside. It's obviously a lot more durable because it's metal, so you have a much higher chance of getting a Beckett 10 or 9.5 or a gold 10, and you're kind of guaranteed that PSA 10 almost. Now I would kind of like not not tell people that. Like, I wouldn't tell people that, oh, PSA will give you a 10, so you should shoot for Beckett. Now I'm just kind of like, ooh. There's been a little bit of of some changing, implementing in how PSA has been grading, which is raised a lot of eyebrows. Nothing's been confirmed, but it's just been a trend where we've noticed that PSA has been a little bit more rigorous in how they grade cards.
Yeah,
Uh,
I've definitely had my fair share of things coming back with a grade I didn't expect.
yeah, and it's interesting because PSA doesn't do subgrading, so it's kind of more difficult to kind of really get an idea why that is.
Yeah.
But but that being said, though, I mean Beckett is a larger case. For whatever reason, people just like that Beckett with metals. I mean, other games outside of Dragon Ball do metals. Or like early school Yu-Gi-Oh did metal cards as well for their placers. There's other placers in other games. I can't think of off the top of my head that are also metal. There's even some sports cards that are like these weird semi-metal. I don't know if you've seen them, Mike, where they're like kind of metallic foiling, or they're kind of like a lot thicker than traditional cards. Like I know that Brady card that sold for like a stupid amount of money. That was a Beckett graded card. It was not a PSA. I think how much did it sell for? It was like $250,000 almost. 300. I forget how much that breaks.
I mean, I don't know, but was that a metal card though? Like the
It-
Brady
it-
card that I know of is the rookie signed one.
right, but I've seen some sport, but I'm just saying like cards that are just not your traditional cards. Even some cards that are like the patch, they're just thicker. Not even just metal, but just any card that's not a standard card. I feel like people have leaned more towards Beckett than PSA. If it's a plain flat cardboard, I feel like PSA has always been ideally preferred. But if it's like a patch, or like this like almost like much thicker material that's not metallic, or but it's like thicker than your standard card, I've noticed that people just lean more towards Beckett. A lot of them. I mean, generally, if the card's thicker, it's less prone to obviously creasing. It's more durable, and protecting your investment. You generally want to just kind of you pick a grading company that is going to generally give you the best grade, and the better the grade, the higher the value. And usually metallic, thicker cards that are just, or even like trophy cards. Like I know Yu-Gi-Oh, I don't think their cards are metallic now, but they're the cards.
Wasn't the original trophy metal?
Yes, the very first Yu-Gi-Oh one.
The very first one was, right? Yeah.
I know for sure the original Yu-Gi-Oh one was metal.
It's like a soldier card or something. I can't remember the name.
Black Luster.
Yeah,
Oh, so sorry,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, Black Luster Soldier.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
I
the
believe
only metal that, at least within TCGs, I've heard outside Dragon Ball Super. Like, I've never heard of Wizards doing anything like this or Pokemon doing like this. Generally speaking, metals in TCGs just haven't really been that common, except with Dragon Ball, obviously.
Yeah.
So, like, using other TCGs as an example is really, really hard, just because we haven't really seen it before this often. Like, the only one I could ever think of, in my knowledge, is just the Yu-Gi-Oh one, and that was just the first year. That wasn't even something that Konami kept doing. So
yeah, they eventually switched over to cardboard, like the traditional cards.
it's just not something card games have really, and honestly, it's something that makes Dragon Ball unique, I think, and kind of helps with the identity of what trophies means in Dragon Ball, because it's just so unique to Dragon Ball, and you don't really see it
now,
with other card games.
Now let me ask you, do you think that they should go through Beckett, or do you think people should reconsider and start going towards PSA?
So here's my take. One of the things that I do agree with you for sure is that definitely the direction seems to be Beckett, based off of the ones that we've seen graded so far by people in terms of popularity. It definitely does seem to swing towards Beckett. For me personally, I think because of the nature of it being metal, I don't really know if it really makes much of a difference, because, with metal being so difficult to damage because of its material, I don't really see a huge significance with one over the other, just because it's already such a easy thing to grade as it is. Like, the thing comes in like this really protected, at least for the gold. Silver's a little bit different, but at least with the golds, like, they come in those like trophy cases that are really well protected. So essentially what you're receiving is quote unquote pack fresh, and you just like take that out, put it in a sleeve, send it, and that's it, right? Like, there's not much to it, and I don't see a lot of challenge with like it getting damaged or like being difficult to grade. So in that sense, I don't really see a benefit. Obviously with Beckett, you get the granularity, so you know for sure what subgrade gets dinged, whether it's like the surface or like the corners, whatever. Although really, like, a lot of those subgrades should be 10s as they are, because it's a metal thing and it's hard to damage. But from a personal like taste, I do think that the way PSA cases are designed, I don't really know if they can hold metal cards, because I don't know if you've seen like regular cards sometimes get loose in PSA cases, which is kind of annoying, because you're like, oh shit, is it gonna like damage it? But since that's possible with cardboard, I have to assume it's hard for it, like the way they designed it. I don't know if it can really hold a metal card in place, and so it'll just end up getting loose, just like cardboard. But with like a metal being like heavier and louder, it probably would be kind of annoying. Whereas with the Beckett case, the way it's designed, it just like sort of sits there and it just will never move. So I think, at least for like the material, I would say Beckett's better just because of the way that it can hold the card in there. Whereas the PSA, like I've never personally graded a metal with PSA, but I would have to assume that it's not really meant for metal, so it probably gets loose and starts moving around because it's too heavy to keep in place. So.
But see, I believe there are graded metal cards, at least the silvers that I've seen for Dragon Ball that I've seen in PSA. I can't recall which one I saw. I believe it was.
No, I'm not saying that you can. What I'm saying is like I don't really know if they can fit in place. Like I know PSA does it. What I'm saying is like after you get it back in the mail, like is it just gonna be moving around every time because it's too heavy to hold in place? That's what I'm saying. Like I know for sure PSA has graded metals. I just don't know if it sits well inside of the case. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't know. I know in when they grade cards, they put them like in this like almost like sleeve inside of it that's like airtight. I've noticed.
That's Beckett though. That's not PSA.
Oh, it's only Beckett. Never mind.
Yeah. So the way Beckett does it is they put it inside this. I don't know how to pronounce it. It's like Miramar or something material sleeve, which is basically like museum quality, so that it protects it against any kind of like sunlight or anything.
Right.
And then that keeps it in place. Like it's designed to be tight fit. But with PSA, they don't put it in a sleeve. It's just directly in the case.
Oh.
So my concern is that because I've seen regular cardboard get loose in there, just imagine trying to hold a metal card, which is definitely going to be heavier and thicker. So for me, like I don't know if a PSA case would work well for metals just because of the way the case is designed. It might not be able to keep it in place. And having a loose metal card, I mean, having a loose cardboard card already sucks. But with a metal card, I'd have to assume it's a little bit crappier because it's going to be a louder noise every time you like hold it or pick it up. And so, yeah, my only, like from a personal taste, I don't really know if it'll look good to have like a loose metal card in there.
Right.
But in terms of like difficulty, I think because the nature of the material, there's not much challenge anyways. Like the thing is already like metal. So
right. And it goes back to my point where it's like the card's 99% likely to be pristine.
Yeah.
So
there's not much challenge anyways.
Right. And I think it comes down to protecting your investment. Like we said, like a Beckett 10 is worth more than a PSA 10 generally. In most things, cardboard or metal or sports, anything. Generally, the Beckett 10 will harbor a higher value than a PSA 10. So if you already know the card's pristine, you might as well get it graded through the more intricate grading system, just to kind of solidify the higher value. Is my guess. I mean, Beckett does do that inner sleeve, which you brought up, and that makes me feel a lot more confident going through Beckett. Not gonna lie, the Beckett logo for whatever reason, the black label over silver or gold just looks really pretty versus the red and white. The red and white is honestly, I love the red and white on Yu-Gi-Oh cards, like just regular. I actually like that a lot. I don't like the Beckett. Like, even a black label over a Yu-Gi-Oh card is really meh to me. I don't know what it is. So I mean, overall, I would say if you're getting a metal card graded, I would just go through Beckett just because a majority of the community accepts Beckett as the ideal grader for trophies. I would say that most of our fellow trophy owners prefer Beckett, and just also metal card owners prefer Beckett. You and I personally think that grading trophy cards is is kind of unappealing.
So that's the other part to this whole thing is like I think the bigger picture, if you like just take it one step outside of Beckett versus PSA or any grading service for that matter, the bigger picture is if you own a metal card in Dragon Ball Super, it's already so rare that it's really just icing on the cake at that point. That what service do you want? What grade is it? Like unless it's a metal card that you like spilled something on it or like it's just completely messed up, I'm pretty sure that premium you would get for a 10 probably wouldn't be that much more than if it wasn't graded at all. Just because of the fact that what you own is already so rare that that extra grade doesn't really add much to it, especially given, like I said about the challenge of grading metals. Like if it's like a cardboard trophy card, then obviously you'll have a premium if it's 10 because cardboard tends to be harder to grade, more risk of being damaged because of the way that they
shipping alone.
Yeah, exactly. Like shipping, even handing it to the player from the event has a risk, right? Because it's like not really in a protected case like a metal card is. So like to me, if you get a 10 cardboard trophy, it actually does have more meaningful premiums to it because of the difficulty to grade. But with the metal, like let's say you even get a black label metal or like a gold 10 metal, like how much more do you think of a premium that should be than just the non-graded metal? Because it's already extremely rare and it's not that hard to grade. To me, yeah, it's just such a fancy minor part to the entire equation that I don't see much value. I think if you get it graded, awesome, preserve it, keep it clean. But really, either service to me should be fine. It really should just come down to personal preference. I'm like you. I think the Beckett would be better in terms of the way the case is designed to hold a metal card. But if you get it PSA and it's, works for you, then yeah, just keep it in PSA. I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah, no, I think for metals, Beckett will be the more ideal. If it's a trophy medal, it's honestly up to you if you want to get it graded at all. I mean, they come in this slab already, like the trophies, the first, 2, 3rd, and Dragon Ball. They already come in slabs.
Yeah, yeah.
I
Silvers, I guess you probably might want to get it graded because they don't really. I mean, you probably know because you've seen them handed out in person. They don't really come in a case. It's just like
no. They're in this airtight seal, like foil wrap that's like clear, see through. It's really weird. Yeah, that would be our stance on it. At least for us, it's just metal cards, Beckett, trophy cards, Beckett / leave it in the slab.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in. Hope that answers your questions about grading, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah, and if you guys have any other questions, always feel free to comment below and let us know, and we could discuss those topics too.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. We love talking about this kind of stuff. So any ideas, topics, suggestions, whatever it is, let us know.
Have a good one, guys.
See you guys.